gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for March 27th, 2024. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, the successor to one of the biggest games of the Xbox 360 generation is back, and Marvel is getting an Overwatch clone. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Lucy James, everybody. Lucy, how are you doing?
Broken. No,
oh no!
How are you?
Oh no! We finally defeated Lucy. Everybody, we weren't trying, but we did it.
Well, cause I did. So we're talking about Judas. I did that trip.
Yes, you did. Where'd you do that trip?
I went to Boston. I went San Francisco to Boston, Tuesday to Saturday. Then Sunday to Thursday, I did GDC. Thursday to Sunday, I did PAX.
Back in Boston.
And then I got back in Boston. And then I was back at work at 9 a.m. on Monday because we're doing a shoot. And then next Friday, I'm going to London. So I'm tired.
Oh, no. That's too much, Lucy. That is way too much.
But it's good. It's good. I did some good, cool stuff while I was out there.
Yeah, I'm glad. And, you know, we're going to talk about Judas. Excited to hear your thoughts. You got to play it, right?
I'm one of only, 5 people in the world who don't work on that game who can talk about it, which is kind of nuts.
That is exciting. All right, well, we are going to ask you about that here in a little bit. But yeah, how are you recovering? I mean, does it count as recovering if you are already thinking about another trip coming up very soon, or are you recovering from PAX?
No, I am kind of recovered from PAX. PAX was a great show for us this year because it wasn't loads of appointments. I would say GDC was the hard one because it was we had to do Day of the Devs, and then they had all the appointments. I am on the road to recover from PAX, but tonight I'm going to a gig. So I'm going to see Daddy Freya tonight. So I'm very excited.
Ooh, okay. That'll be a good time. You know what, Lucy? Well, you're breaking up a little bit. I'm gonna.
And then this weekend is Easter, and I'm taking Monday off. Ooh.
You are breaking up for me a little bit. I'm going to change the location of the server and see if that fixes it.
Oh.
Okay, you know what? It's already looking a little bit better. Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah, you were bouncing over to the East Coast. Let's have you go over to the West Coast. There we go.
Just like last week, I was bouncing over to the East Coast.
Exactly.
How are you doing post-PAX?
I'm doing okay. I'm happy that very few people were reported getting sick from PAX. And we all kind of came home and we were all feeling pretty good, even though we were, constantly around other people, constantly hanging out, spending most nights, talking to other people and stuff like that. So I was expecting, someone's probably going to get sick, but no, everyone's feeling pretty good. And then PAX was really fun. It was nice. I am realizing I'm a little bit more sensitive to being around people than I ever was before the pandemic. And I'm not necessarily bouncing back 100% from that, where I'm I can handle being around people for a very long time like I used to. It's it's a muscle that I've not built back up, clearly. And but that doesn't mean it was not a good time. It was just this is something I'm realizing about myself, and I really enjoyed it. It was great being there, seeing everybody. But I was definitely wiped by the time we were done. Getting to Sunday even, I was I'm not going to try to make anything happen today. I'm going to happily try to just go get on this plane and go home and go to sleep. And that was nice. That was a good time.
Yeah. I mean, so the hotel that we were staying at, late checkout was 4.
Oh, really?
And Tam and I were flying back at 5, and I just messaged, you won't see me. Goodbye.
That's the way to do it. Yeah, that Sunday, I think we were all pretty wiped. Mike went to Cheers on that Sunday.
I love that. My favorite thing was in the Discord. I think you said, "Did everybody know your name?" And he said, "Only when I put my credit card down." I really enjoyed.
Very, very
Jan,
good.
you left at 4 a.m. Oh, Jan, you said you were flying. You carpooled with Abby, right?
Yeah, he had an early flight, I think. Yeah.
It'd be at a 9 a.m. flight, but he went earlier because Abby's flight was earlier.
Oh man. Okay. Well, don't do that again, Jan. Yeah, I was happy to mosey on over there in my time. It was fine. I did think about checking my bag and maybe going back over to the PAX show floor one more time. I was I got a friend working on that Killer Clowns game. I'll check that out. And everyone was checking out at the same time. So the line was just super long. And I'm like, never mind. I'm going to go to
Yeah.
No. All right. Let's explain what we do here.
Did you get your massage?
Oh, no, I didn't. Because I was gonna check the bag and then I was going to do it. But and then I thought about doing it there was a place at the airport. Apparently, I couldn't find it. So, and also I'm like, the airport, an airport massage seemed a little bit less luxe than going to get the one at that hotel. Because it's like
an airport massage. As a connoisseur of massages, I've gotten massages. Get a massage on Friday. I'm very excited. You inspired me. An airport massage will literally just be on the chair, and they'll just do that for 20 minutes, and you'll pay so much money for it, and it won't be as good. That's why I decided, I'm going to abandon this plan. I want to do it for real. I don't want to like half-ass it and they'd be like, well, I just got a massage, even though I wouldn't really count that. So yeah, all right, I'll make something happen still. That'll be nice. Let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start. That one.
Yeah, I'm trying to, from the gut, I'm trying to get it out. Hello, YouTube. Let's start.
That was Duke Nukem.
Where is it? BioShock's successor, Judas, is a procedurally generated roguelite. This is from Haley Williams at GameSpot. BioShock creator Ken Levine's Judas has been in development for almost 10 years, and now his studio, Ghost Story Games, is finally ready to show what it's been working on all that time. While Judas is still a narrative-driven first-person shooter in the style of the BioShock games, it's also a procedurally generated roguelite set in a dynamically shifting open world. Here's what we know so far. And instead of reading, Lucy, what do we know so far?
I was going to say, I'm going to have a word with Haley, citing the IGN interview, is it? Unbelievable.
Your conversation is in the story, so I figured she would base most of it on that, but
no,
fair enough.
I'm joking. Yeah, so it was Friends Per Second, Jeff Keighley, and Ryan McCaffrey from IGN who got to go. And yeah, we went to the studio and yeah, what do you want to know? Okay.
First I want to know is Ken Levine was making BioShock games, then they put out Infinite. It didn't sell as well as 2K needed it to for them to immediately start making BioShock games again. They kind of lowered they cut a lot of jobs from that studio. Ken Levine was like, I'm gonna go do something different. 10 years later, he's back, and he's back with a game that is basically looks like BioShock. I could tell it's different. I'm actually excited about some of the ways that it's different, but just like that, like storyline right there is a little bit weird to me. Why did he return to BioShock? If you got a chance to talk to them and like how'd they explain why did they end up back here in so many ways?
So in terms of actual studio stuff, we did not really talk to Ken about that, but I can talk about the fact that like it was kind of ideas that they just didn't have time or space for in Infinite. And then there was that infamous narrative Lego talk from GDC.
Yes.
Which is very funny because that is like Ken's like link on his Twitter profile is the GameSpot video for that one, which is it was kind of fun. And so narrative Lego being the fact that and this is from the GDC talk where a single play game, there was not really that much replay value there in terms of discovering new things upon replaying it. Yes, you might replay it and you might find an audio log that you missed or even a cutscene that you missed or something secret. But in terms of the core narrative, that is going to stay the same. That same journey is going to stay the same. And Ken has made a few of those, and he's kind of bemoaned that. And so he wanted to try this narrative Lego approach where each kind of bit of the story is like a Lego brick, and the Lego bricks can be made into something else completely. And so the thing about Judas, and that's kind of, I would say, the main difference in it and how it's not just another BioShock game. And also it has been very funny that people have misinterpreted like us saying it's not BioShock in space to all the tweets being like, it's BioShock in space.
BioShock in space, yeah.
Which is System Shock. But it definitely borrows a lot from BioShock. Like, you can absolutely tell this is the creator of BioShock. There's a moment at the very beginning of the game, because the very beginning of the game is very linear, and we played like 5 hours of it. Is linear for a bit, and then all the kind of narrative Lego stuff starts coming into place. The one where you get your first power, it's in your left hand, it's the fire one, and then you go out and you see these 2 robots, and the robots are kind of the enemies because it's not splicers, it's the fact that humanity literally can't be trusted to do stuff for itself, because this is the last hope for humanity, because a plague, and this was done before COVID, has wiped out all of Earth. So robots have to take care of everything. There's robot cooks and nannies and everything. And you get your firepower, and there's 2 of them standing in a pool of oil. And I was just like, oh, that is immediately, the bit in BioShock where you get the electricity power and they're standing in water. The one thing that it didn't have is that it didn't say, at least from what I can remember, because I feel like I would have made a note about it, I don't think anyone said, is it someone new? Which would have been, which is like the thing you hear when you get to Rapture, you hear it when you get to Columbia. So yes. And then in terms of the actual way that the game is constructed, it is pseudo procedurally generated.
Right.
So the ship that you're on, the Mayflower, has these different biomes, just like how they have different regions, like Fort Frolic or whatever in Rapture, right? Or there's the fisherman district or something. Like the Arboretum or whatever. There's different biomes on the Mayflower, and you ride a giant dog robot called Scuttle to get there. And those are the ones that are procedurally generated. The game, they're talking about the fact that, like, not only is the narrative kind of reactionary and changes up a bit, but they want to kind of monitor what the player is doing. And so if they notice that you're crouching a lot, they'll throw in like harder stealth encounters for you. And this is the thing. So this is pre-preview. They really want to stress that. And I totally get it, because it's still early. Like, it's been in development for a long time, but so much about it needs to be tweaked and balanced. And yeah, the game will be reactive and throw you different kinds of combat encounters, which I thought was really cool, like different puzzle things. And then, yeah, the cool, like, narrative stuff that we got to see. And that's the thing, I don't have a grasp on how much this is going to impact the wider story. There's the big 3. There's Tom, Hope, and Neff. And they are kind of been instilled as the shepherds of humanity, or I guess like the people to guide those on the ship. They each want different things, and they will get at you to do it. So if you do, I was doing a bunch of Hope's missions, and then you can. So for example, there was a weapon that I was going for. I was like an upgrade I was going for, so I pinned it, and then Neff came and said, "Hey, if you start doing my missions, I'll give you that weapon." So that was just at the very beginning, where they just start to pull at you to try and convince you to go to their side.
Interesting,
and, yeah. But then it also manifests in the middle of battle, because I was in a room and super tense firefight, and because it's a roguelite, every level only has one health station. There's no health mechanic. I was looking in bins. I could not stop looking in bins to get food. There's one like ammo station. There's one hacking component station each time. And so I went, and I was desperately needing ammo, and I went up to it. I was in the middle of this firefight, and Tom was really pissed off, so he broke it right in front of me. But sometimes Hope will come in and mount a turret and then help you out in battle. Sometimes they'll lock you in a room. Sometimes they'll unlock doors for you. And so I'm just like, I really want to see how deep that goes. I really want to see how much you can mess with it. I want to see if you can. I want to see if you can kill one of the other ones. I want to see if you can, get together with the other one against another one. It's really cool.
Yeah, it sounds promising in terms of the systems. That's definitely what I remember playing BioShock Infinite, and I remember coming out being like, that is a game that plays pretty okay. And then I thought, at the time, I was like, the story did not do much for me. And then since then, like the way it aged, I think back on it and think it's a pretty cowardly game. It's like I kind of can't think of a harsher thing to say about a game, but I do mean that the way I think about that story. And I'm like, okay, what would I want from something that goes back to that formula? I do want something that, if you are going to tell the story, whatever, but I think if you're going to have introduce the systems, I know the narrative Legos is something he's talked about for a long time, but what does that actually mean? If that means I have dynamic relationships with these different characters and these things can be pieced together in new and different ways that have meaning to my actions, I'm excited. I'm like you. I want to know, how deep does that go? What are the results of that? What are the ramifications of any one choice? Or is it very, and I suppose if it's kind of like a Telltale game where it's like, hey, things are changing in the background, but you kind of can't really tell. If the sort of facade is strong enough out front that I still feel ownership over my story, I still think that's also an improvement. But if it's like deep and there are a lot of changes and it is very systematic, that would be fantastic, because that is the thing that I'm most attracted to in games right now. And then, the roguelite elements, I know he said it's not necessarily a roguelite game, but it borrows stuff from that. So when you die, you have a chance to like rework your character and try different builds, I guess. Did you see any of that? How does that work?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, my cat is going bananas behind me, so that's what that noise is. If you can't hear it, excited. She's a big Levine fan.
Yeah,
she's a big Bioshock fan. So I did see the roguelite framing. I will not spoil it. This is the thing that I'm pretty sure that like Ken and the studio were fine talking about it, but weirdly, like FPS and IGN and Keighley all opted not to talk about this separately. Like we did not have a conversation with IGN about it, where we didn't want to spoil this framing, because I think it is just really cool. And so basically there is this other storyline, and that's where the roguelite stuff comes in. You get put in this very specific place, and what you can do is you don't necessarily lose everything when you die. I was actually looking forward to dying, because the way that the story would progress in the other place was really cool.
Yeah.
And so at the very beginning, I'm pretty sure you just start over, and then the more times you die, the more you kind of start unlocking as you go back in and do another run. And so there's a point where all the things that you carry kind of gets converted to a kind of currency. I believe it's been 2 weeks and I have no memory anymore. I've got the memory of a sieve. Sure. But I'm pretty sure that's how it shakes out. And then what you can do is basically like you can start with one of the abilities unlocked, or you can start with or you can permanently unlock a new ability slot, or you can permanently unlock like more health and stuff. And so it's a really cool way of kind of framing that, the way that they've done it, and it does kind of make you feel excited to die, which is the best compliment I can possibly give a roguelite. Sure, also, there is there's an overworld map, which is really cool. Which you have to. There's a really, because otherwise your ship, your boy, your dog Scuttle. Hey! Don't fight!
Kitties.
Be nice. Yeah, apologies. They're flighty in the morning. So in the morning, on the overworld map, you're taking your dog and you can go to different biomes and there are different missions there and whatever. But dog needs fuel, and that kind of stops you from thinking and like trying to overextend before you're ready.
Yeah.
And I really like that kind of like resource management part of it. And obviously things need to be balanced. Like certainly it's not at a place where you could say, oh yeah, the balance is totally right. The economy of the game is totally right. But it definitely did make me think twice about where I was going and what I was doing, what I was prioritizing. And so they're all very systems driven game, I would say at this point. I really want to see where more of the narrative goes. There are already like some wild narrative beats in terms of just like memorable things that will stick with me. And again, like I'm not going to spoil what those are, but there were some really, really cool moments. And also I saw someone in the chat. Someone in the chat asked me what shoes Jeff Keighley was wearing, and I failed you because I didn't check.
Oh,
and
man.
I'll be better.
Man. All right. Yes, do better in the future. That's right. Okay, so then the finer points. Did you hear a time frame for when we can expect to be getting this game? Would you play it on? Where are they promising to release it? That sort of thing.
No time frame. I did play it on a PC build. Stop it! Stop growling. God, they are being such menaces today. No time frame. I played on PC because obviously it's still in development. Hacking. I did see someone in the chat.
Right.
What is? Oh my God! Did someone make a GIF of Jan rolling?
Yeah. So Pickle Giraffe makes those animated Blight Club videos, and in one of the scenes, he put Jan doing his roll right through the middle of the thing, and it's fantastic. It's so perfect.
Oh my God, that is incredible.
Yes, it's very good. We need that. Yeah. So hacking. How does that work?
Hacking. Okay. So in BioShock, it's pipes.
Yeah, it's pipe dreams. Yes,
baby. It's a pipe dream. Heaven is a half pipe. In this, it is if this then that.
Oh, okay.
It's really cool.
Oh, that's fun.
So
that could feel more like hacking to me.
It really is. Like if you hit it was mapped to Y at this point. So I would hit on an enemy. And then time slows, and then on one thing on the controller, it would be the target. Oh no, it wasn't the target. Oh yeah. So it'd be one thing. We would select this and if, and then that would be so if you are the robot, go and I don't know, explode. Go and socialize with another robot. Go and leak oil.
That's cool. I
explode.
Like that.
Go shut down. It was really cool. But those little hacking modules, you have to kind of craft by, because there's no circuits values anymore. You are actually gathering kind of resources and building and fabricating things. Mm-hmm. So if you remember I think kind of similar to how it was in Prey-ish, right. With the little machine where you chuck all your recyclables in and then it spits out something else. But the hacking stuff was really cool. And the thing is that the game knows when you're not really hacking, because the big three will try and convince you to do it. They're like, hey, notice you haven't been hacking for a while, or I notice you haven't been using your abilities as much anymore. And so okay. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a more systems-driven BioShock, I think, and it sounds like that's what they're going for. That sounds exciting to me. I do wonder, because BioShock is BioShock Infinite, especially, such a sterile game, such a here's what it is. Here's this world with all these people, and they are just mannequins that decorate the setting, basically, and then occasionally they will attack you if they are your enemy. And that's it. That's all there is to it. So the idea that there is more going on here, and that the enemies are, I mean, I think I try to think back to my review. I think the main point of my criticism of the game, even though I gave it an 89 out of 100, but my main point of criticism was it did feel like a dead world. It felt like there wasn't going on. It felt like your actions didn't have consequences, and that the game had no idea how you felt about what was going on in there. So this game being specifically about that and having multiple ways of expressing that, I'm interested. I want to see. We probably don't get that. I know you didn't get a time frame. Probably don't get this game until at least 2025. Do you think it could go beyond that? Do you think we're not going to, any sense?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be a headline, Jeff. I don't want to be a headline.
I
don't want to shave my head.
I can appreciate that one specifically. All right, let's move along here. Marvel Rivals leak claims new details and images. This is from Grant Taylor Hill at Insider Gaming, but I do believe that we got a confirmation here. Let's take a look here. I'm going to bring this up on Twitter for myself. Yes. Marvel Rivals is the new game from NetEase and is in development as an Overwatch-style Marvel shooter. In the reports, it was said that the company is making a 6v6 third-person shooter with a roster of fighters made up of some of Marvel's most recognizable characters, hero shooter style. Hero shits. They have now confirmed the game. I will see if I can bring up this trailer so everyone can watch it. But yeah, I don't know. I find this a little uninspired, and yet I occasionally find myself liking these kinds of hokey branded games that like take on another game. It's like, hey, we could do. I mean, we talked about that Sonic Toys Party game. That's like it's Sonic, but Fall Guys. I'm like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So, Marvel, but Overwatch with third-person camera because you want to be able to see all the cosmetics and the characters you're getting. I could see that. I suppose people are hearing NetEase, and there's an assumption that this might be a mobile game. I think it's it's actually going to be quite the opposite. It is a triple A-ish console and PC release. For me, I'm like, does that mean it's going to be like a $60 game and then also have microtransactions? Because then I'm like, I don't know if I want to deal with that. But I suppose we'll find out. When you hear, you know, your love language, Overwatch, mashed up with superheroes, how do you feel about it, Lucy?
I don't give a shit about Marvel anymore.
Right. Yep.
No, nothing. Hang on, wait. Was that a destructible environment? Hang on, I'm just watching the Black Panther bit. Oh, yeah, okay. So he brought down that, like, bridge. That was cool. For me, it is too little too late on both the IP and the gameplay. Marvel does not have the hitting power that it once did. Overwatch and similar games do not have the hitting and staying powers they once did. I don't. It's just enough.
Oh wow, it looks super Overwatch. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit where Iron Man is stood in the sky and is floating in the sky, and he literally does a Farah. And I know the similarities between the character, but surely they are invoking that.
Yeah.
I think I'm just at the age and sensibility now where, that was it Kim Cattrall who just said, like, I don't ever want to be in a place where I'm doing something that I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
And it could be fun and it could be, like really good. It just does not appeal to me at this stage of my life. I definitely moved on from Overwatch. I've moved on from Marvel. If I'm going to have an ongoing game that is going to be the game that I return to every time, I want it to be something different, I think, at this point. I think of, 1,000+ hours of Overwatch. I kind of been there, done that.
Yeah, right. You did your time.
And this could be completely different, but like they're certainly invoking Overwatch at this point.
Yeah. They are. So, okay, for audio listeners, imagine Overwatch, but someone modded in Marvel characters. That and it's a third-person camera. That is exactly what it looks like. I'm actually a little surprised how Overwatch coded it really is. I get why a developer does that, right? You go with what works, what has worked before, and you kind of just slap on the stuff that you have the IP for. That's probably a relatively inexpensive way to make a game that you have to pay a lot of licensing fees to Disney for. The things that are like new here, destructible environments. We did hear about that in the reporting. Black Panther did turn into a giant Black Panther in this, and he like basically charged the bridge and knocked it down. Apparently Magneto's also in here. He has the ability to destroy environments as well. I bet the Incredible Hulk might have the same ability to destroy stuff with his big fists or whatever. I don't know. We see Iron Man actually blowing up some towers here. So yeah, that's cool. That's a neat thing. I just don't know if I think I'm with you. I like the idea of more games from IPs just trying stuff that has already worked. That's fine. When I say I like that, that doesn't mean I'm like necessarily excited to show up on day one for this. I think I'm with you. I want something that is going to challenge me and be interesting or different. And I think I'm in a holding pattern when it comes to online multiplayer PvP games. I think for PvE, I am very happy that we have Helldivers 2. I'll tune in for that. And I'm like, when it comes to PvP, I'm like, I need something that is going to be the next new thing. We've been through so many phases now with Halo and Call of Duty and Overwatch and PUBG and now extraction shooters, which I never got into really. And it's like, okay, well, what's going to be after extraction shooters? None of these developers seem to know, and I think we're all kind of waiting around to see if they're going to come up with something that's going to get everyone excited again. And this isn't it. This is far from it. This is the very safe bet. That all said, it's maybe not for us. Do you think this has a chance of catching on in a way that some of these other like narrative-driven live service Destiny-like games have not?
I think so. I mean, I think there's always, and that's the thing. I don't want it to seem like I'm not rooting for this game. I root for all games.
Yeah.
I think this will definitely appeal to kind of the younger folks who maybe Overwatch is a little I don't want to say like Overwatch is a little mature for them, because really Overwatch at its core is cartoony, but like every kid I've ever spoken to, I'm like, oh, you play Overwatch? They're like, no, I play Fortnite. And I maybe it will appeal to those kids too, where it's like, I want to, this is my gateway. This is my gateway to something like Valorant. Maybe. I don't know. I'm really just lumping in multiplayer games with each other there, but I don't know. I mean, are the kids still into Marvel?
I think it's got a chance of bouncing back once that Deadpool movie comes out, but right now it feels like it's at low tide for sure.
Yeah.
Tell you what, that X-Men 97 show,
I need to. I'm waiting till it all comes out, and then I'm gonna binge that because I'm very excited.
Watch the first 2 episodes, and based on seeing those, highly recommended to everyone, whether you've fallen off the Marvel train or not. It's just super well done. So I'm like, I'm kind of in the mood to mess around with like some mutants, maybe. So if I'm feeling that way, I guess I could assume the kids are probably like ready and raring to go. Many of them still, I'm sure, are very excited about superheroes. We'll see though. All right, you know what? We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we got a lot more headlines, including a bunch of stuff from Phil Spencer doing an interview over at Polygon. And then developers aren't sure about the PS5 Pro. We'll talk about that right after this. All right, we are back, and that headline is, even developers aren't sure of the point of a PS5 Pro. This is from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. Even though we're nearly 4 full years into the console generation, you'd be forgiven for feeling like the PS5 and Xbox Series X/S launched last week. Apart from the shortages, another reason why it feels like the console generation has had little impact is because a lot of major games have still launched on PS4 and Xbox One. And yet, Sony is still reportedly planning on releasing a PS5 Pro this year, something that has baffled general consumers and seemingly developers too. Speaking on a new episode of GamesIndustry.biz's Microcast, Christopher Dring, shout out to Dring, spoke about spoke about the developer response to a PS5 Pro. A couple of companies said this isn't going to grow the market. It's not going to move the needle, said Dring, and he's talking about his time at GDC talking to developers. This generation doesn't even seem to have gotten started, really, let alone feel the need for a mid-generation update. How about we just get some original next-generation software up and spinning? Sony apparently still has some reasonable expectations for the new console, as it is likely to come with some new hardware features that can make your games run a bit better. For those who are happy with the current PS5's performance, though, it does beg the question of why this upgrade exists. Lucy, let's start there then. Why do you think this thing exists? Is it something that you want? Are you excited about a PS5 Pro? Because I'm like, I always like new stuff, so I'm like in the middle where I'm like, I'll probably get it, but I was not asking for it.
Yeah, I don't. Hang on. Something about yeah, I don't necessarily. I'm not in the market for one right now. I've spoken a lot in the past about how this generation in particular, I have moved away from consoles.
Yeah,
and I am focusing more on my PC. Like my PC
that was me last generation. Absolutely,
is the best bit of hardware that I own. It has everything on it, and now it's gonna be having Sony stuff on it. So For me personally, as a use case, I am not really interested in a PS5 Pro. Am I, will there be those sickos who are out there and be like, yeah, I'll get more of these frames or I'll get faster loading times? We kind of reached this point in the generation where loading times aren't really a consideration. I don't even think graphics are a consideration. And maybe there's something in there that the developers can't do on current
there will be,
hardware, for sure. There's always going to be that. But for me, I can't immediately think of a use case where this is going to greatly improve my life. I, touch wood, have had no issues with my PlayStation 5. No overheating, no load times, even storage-wise, I'm fine. Yep. It's quiet. The one thing I think, and we've talked about this, hang on, they're growling again.
I say let them fight, personally.
When the clocks changed, I moved that feeding time, and it's really bit me on the ass. But no, I think the big thing, and we kind of know why Sony's putting this out. Like, they don't have any software. Really,
Right.
I mean, this year is a dry ass year for Sony, and yeah.
The chapped asses over there, they're like, we got to do something, and so why not put out the hardware? When I read the sentence, why does this upgrade exist? Like, you do have to put yourself in Sony's shoes. Like, they will be able to move things around in terms of market understanding of what hardware is and how much it should cost. And I think this thing comes out and they charge their most diehard audience more money once again. And that's where, console gaming is right now. It is, I always tell the story when we talk about getting new hardware, especially mid-gen refreshes, but let's just go over it again. There was a time where you had a PS2 and you had it out for 6, 7, 8 years, and then you lowered the price to $150, maybe even $100, and people all over the world would be like, oh my God, I can afford this thing now. It's got a huge library. I'll be able to get the FIFA game every year. This is great. I'm going to buy it now. And those people do not do that. That audience is not there for console gaming anymore. They play games on their mobile devices, and they're never going to buy a console no matter how cheap it gets. So this idea of like a long tail into reaching new audiences by lowering the price of your console has gone away. And so instead you have to rely on the same set of gamers, the same audience, and that means finding new ways to get money out of those same people. And that means new refreshes. It's something Nintendo's done for a long time. Sony's clearly like looking at, hey, we have diehard fans and they want to give us more money and they will justify it in any way possible. So let's give them a reason to show up and spend more money. And then at the same time, we can, set expectations for what the PS6 is going to be. So they are like, hey, PS5 is $500. And now here is a PS5 Pro that's going to be $550, $600. Maybe more, and it's going to be, really impressive with all these technical features. So now when the next generation comes around, it's like you're used to paying $600. That gives them a platform to either start at $600 or even go even higher with the generation after that. So I think all of those reasons are why Sony does that. On top of, like, I think, this is them taking advantage of improved yields. It keeps them at the front of the line with the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, and AMD, so that when they are ready to go with PS6, it's like we've already built up some new fabrication facilities and things like that. There's a bunch of technical and business reasons why they do this, and very few of those reasons intersect with anyone asking for it, or especially developers asking for it. So I believe developers when they say we don't know why this exists, it's not for us. And it's probably just going to be a little bit of a headache because it's one more SKU to develop for. And there's going to be some games that I guess we'll take advantage of. Like we have ray tracing already. This could do ray tracing better. So that's nice. But a lot of games are still going to be like, well, listen, we're on console. We're not going to worry about ray tracing. It just hurts performance. And even if the PS5 Pro could do it better, the vast, vast majority of people playing this game are still not going to be using ray tracing. So yeah, it's a weird situation, and I think it would make more sense if Sony even had like one big game to launch it with, but who knows?
But I mean, maybe that's the thing, right? Maybe let's just say from 25 onwards, Sony sorted its shit out.
Yeah,
and they are gonna have at least one banger, one AAA release from their first-party studios every year going forward, and they finally have the catalog to justify purchasing a PlayStation 5. Because right now, if someone came to me and said, which console should I buy, or what should I buy, I would tell them to go all in on PC.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have more options on PC
from this generation.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, especially if you're like willing to get a Steam Deck or an Asus Roger. You have so many more options there. All right. The Last of Us' Pedro Pascal is reportedly done with season 2 already. This is from Levi Winslow at Kotaku. Season 2 of HBO's The Last of Us currently filming in the Canadian province of British Columbia, and Pedro Pascal, who plays post-apocalyptic dad Joel Miller, has reportedly finished all of his parts just 1 month after filming began. Plenty of time now to hit the golf course, right? He really swung in there and swung right back out, right? Oh boy.
Oh wait. Refuted allegedly.
Okay, so it's been...
HBO has refuted.
That's okay.
Telling IGN that rumors suggesting otherwise were not accurate. This came from an insider's Patreon page. Wait, is this you? Can you be a professional?
Professional
creating news, scoops, and stories. A professional. Wow, this guy's got 4,000 Patreon. Who is this man?
Man, I'm in the wrong business. Okay.
Oh, he does is this like blind items?
Let's see. Pedro Pascal isn't done filming The Last of Us Season 2 after all, HBO says. HBO basically says the rumor, told IGN the rumor is not accurate. Rumors surrounding the star's filming schedule originated from reliable insider Daniel Richtman, who shared the update on his Patreon page. His report said Pascal had wrapped shooting while stating that the filming for the rest of the season wasn't expected to conclude until August 2024. We'll try to skirt around the specific spoilers here, I guess. But I did think that was like, they wouldn't jump immediately to that. That felt like the end of season 2 kind of thing. So I was expecting him to stick around for more of it. Although I get that would not be in line with how it worked in the game. But it's like, they are going to make season 2 of this show, and they're going to want to make a handful more seasons. I don't think they jump immediately to doing that big thing, the big exit for the character. So yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see how it plays out. But at the very least, I bet he does finish filming before everyone else, regardless. The part of the story was like he finished so that he could go work on Fantastic Four, which he is already contracted to do. He's going to be Reed Richards in that movie. So maybe at the very least,
and I'll watch it, but only for him.
Right. Maybe he's done for now and returns later this season for more filming. They probably don't mean pickups because that would not necessarily be accurate to the spirit of the story. So I don't know. We'll see.
I was asking about that guy's Patreon because I'm like, it makes I know that you have one and like a bunch of folks, but it's just like I never considered like movie people would have them.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I always just assume Patreon is like game stuff.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is a little strange, but I mean, I guess people are that hot and heavy for, because like, my Patreon, I don't ever put any scoops exclusive to the Patreon or something like that. It's just about, hey, support the podcast or whatever. And I guess I'm surprised that there's still people that are that interested in movie scoops, I suppose, but I don't know, maybe not.
Oh, I don't know. I remember frequenting the Marvel leaks Reddits and everything, and
yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was hugely popular. I guess it probably is still very popular. I'm sure there's a cottage industry behind all of it.
That's the thing. I guess in my stupid head, I was like, there is no way people are this obsessed about like as obsessed as we are about gaming about other things, and that is really stupid. And that maybe proves that I've lived in tunnel vision for the last 12 years.
All right, let's get to this Phil Spencer stuff. We talked a little bit about how Phil Spencer was mentioning he wanting a handheld that works like an Xbox. There was a lot more from that interview. Xbox's Phil Spencer reflects on recent mass layoffs. This is from Eddie McHugh at GameSpot. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer has defended and explained Microsoft's recent decision to lay off 1,900 people for the Xbox division. He told Polygon that Xbox is a business, and like many other businesses, Spencer's job is to make profits. Sometimes that means having people, laying people off now to grow in the future, he said. I don't have any luxury of not having to run a profitable business, a profitable growing business inside of Microsoft. And we are that today, but just across the industry, I reflect on friends of mine in the industry that have been displaced and lost their jobs, and how just I don't want this industry to be a place where people can't, with confidence, build a career. He said. Spencer went on to say that the video game industry is projected to be smaller in 2025 in terms of players and dollars spent. Big publicly traded companies need to make moves that give investors confidence that profits are coming, and that can mean cutting jobs to get there. I mean, this is like, this is the reason that these things happen. Whether or not that's a good reason or not, whether it's actually short-sighted, I think that was always the real conversation. We get that investors want to feel good about their profits, and so the one way to have more profits is to pay fewer people. That's like pretty obvious on its face. Everyone understood that. The question is like, these are the people that made the games in the first place that made those profits initially. They are the ones being punished because of a lack of foresight. And then on top of that, what are you going to do when a couple of years when the industry is growing probably relatively rapidly again, and you don't have enough people to make the games to keep up with that? It's just, that's the questions that people, I think, really have. Do you think that this answer was satisfactory? How do you feel about it?
No, you laid off 1,900 people, Phil.
Yeah.
Like, ugh. Yeah, you can't bring up I reflect on friends of mine and then end your sentence
Yeah, we're all
with,
looking for the people who did this. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, he's had a few weeks to craft a better narrative with PR than this, and it's not.
Yeah,
not really a satisfactory answer when you come to discuss the human cost. You've got people like Sven from Larian going up on stage and saying the quiet part out loud, and the fact that people should be caring for their employees, caring for the people who make the games, like holding on to institutional knowledge, making sure that people feel secure in their work, because when they do, they'll do their jobs a lot better. And so, yeah, sure, I guess you answer to stakeholders.
Right.
Whatever.
I mean,
it sucks. Capitalism, I hate it. I'm gonna move to Wales.
Yeah.
Famously, no capitalism in Wales.
That's right. They don't allow it there. Communist Wales. He answers.
I was gonna try and say comrade in like a Welsh accent, and I really thought that.
He answers the stakeholders, but really, I mean, it's what is the punishment there? It's I get it. Like if he wasn't growing, he could be displaced and he could be fired from his position. Sure. But it's like, man, why is it like the gap? It's like, okay, either that happens or I cut 1,900 jobs. Is there no other way to figure these things out? Is there no cut to, and maybe they are primarily paid through bonuses and through stock options. And if the stock goes down, that's them actually getting a pay cut. Yeah. But it just doesn't, none of it feels great. And despite his plain spokenness here, the plain language, which, I often do appreciate, doesn't do anything to sort of ease the hurt this time around. It just feels like very cold and calculated.
Feels detached.
And I suppose you have to be to do that job. That doesn't make it any less worthy of criticism. Phil then went on to say how Gen Z is changing Xbox's exclusivity strategy. This is also from Eddie at GameSpot. It's those damn Zoomers. Microsoft recently announced plans to bring some of its games to PlayStation and Switch, and this decision was seemingly based in part on research about Gen Z habits. He told Polygon that young people want everything everywhere, and Xbox is adapting to that. This notion that Xbox can only be this one device that plugs into a television isn't something we see in the Gen Z research, because nothing else is like that for them. Some of them will have an iPhone, some of them will have Android, but all the games and everything is the same. I could still get to TikTok on both of them, at least for now, although their stuff is available wherever they want. So for Xbox, our brand pivot, as we attract and maintain relevance with a younger audience, is Xbox a place where I can find the great games I want to? The announcement that games like Pentiment, Grounded, Hi-Fi Rush, and Sea of Thieves would lead to PlayStation and Switch generated a good amount of discussion and debate. For his part, Spencer said this decision is for the better of Xbox. I know some things get weaponized. There's some evil in the background that's making us do things. Phil hates exclusives, and that's why we like PlayStation and Switch now. Every decision we make is to make Xbox stronger in the long run. It doesn't mean everyone's going to agree with every decision we make, but it is fundamental for how we make decisions. I appreciate this point of view to a certain extent, because Gen Z is, and younger gamers are coming up in a world where it's like, I think that their attachment to consoles is way less than what my generation had. And
do you see that thing where there was like a lot of Gen Z don't know how to work a laptop?
Yeah,
like a traditional PC, because they are so used to app-driven devices.
Right, and so
that's so interesting, but also terrifying.
Right, exactly. So if you talk to like playing Minecraft with them, they're like, Minecraft was everywhere, and I played it on my phone or a tablet, and then maybe on a console, maybe on a PC, but almost certainly on a phone or a tablet. And then it was just ubiquitous, and and then Roblox kind of got to this a similar point, and I think that's driving a lot of their understanding of what games should be like. And so that no, I just want to play it on the device that I have. It should be readily available, and if it's not, it doesn't even exist to them. So I appreciate that, but at the same time, it's like, man, consoles had this unique, special relationship where, hey, you have to get into our ecosystem to get these exclusives, and that made those games feel more important, made the box feel more important. And I think it created the opportunity for more games to exist, to be these big marquee standout AAA the blockbusters, because you could justify them by selling the console with them. And it's like, are you giving that stuff up to go after an audience that actually, when all is said and done, still might not care, because they do already have Minecraft and Roblox and all these other things. And when they do move on to other stuff, they might just move on to the Fortnites and the Call of Duties. I suppose they move on to Call of Duty. That's good for Microsoft now. But they're going to move on to things that are already there, and you're going to make all these changes, and it actually won't affect all that much in the end. That's what it feels like. It's like the likely scenario here to me, where it's like Xbox makes all these changes to adapt to an audience that probably won't ever really care about Xbox. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it feels so weird. And it feels, maybe I'm reflecting on age and stuff recently, or maybe it's just because I'm off the back of 3 really cool shows. If you count Day of the Devs, right? And I just think a future where all we play is Minecraft or Roblox or Fortnite, really sad. And I'm not saying that there's not innovation in those games, and I'm not saying that they're not worthy of success, and I'm not discounting people's enjoyment of those games, but I've just spent over a week looking at a bunch of cool fucking shit. And I really hope that, I don't know, we still keep having, and then the thing, yeah, the same games have been at the top of the charts for years and years and years. Look at GTA 5, for example. That came out a depressingly long amount of time ago.
Yep. 2015.
Yeah. And 11. I don't know, and it feels like, why are we spending all this oxygen talking about those games and ecosystems when we could be championing the cool new ideas? And I guess in terms of we are the people who are entrenched in it, and so for us it's like, yeah, we will see something like, I don't know, Harold Halibut, but if you talk to the average kid on the street, especially one who only operates in Fortnite and Roblox, they're gonna have no idea about any cool shit like that. And so it kind of feels weird. Anyway, and so in terms of Gen Z and apps and whatever, I can totally understand why they are not going to be tied to an Xbox. But man, Nintendo has some incredible staying power.
Yep.
I wonder how much Phil and formerly Jim Ryan will just curse the day that their brand is not as seemingly secure as Nintendo when it comes to resonating with younger audiences. Because all the kids that I know, it's not like, do you have Xbox at home? It's like, no, we have Switch.
Yep, we have Switch, we have Pokemon, and then everything else sort of filters down from there. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you only have so many Pokemons. There are only so many Minecrafts. What are you talking about?
There's over 1,000 fucking Pokemons. And they're making more.
They're going to make more. That's a threat. It's these things do take up oxygen, and people want to glom on to the thing that is popular so that they can be part of the conversation. And so that naturally it feels like we are always headed in the direction of fewer, bigger things, as opposed to the gaming world that I grew up in, where it was, here are 2,000 games on this thing, and they're all kind of relatively the same level of popularity, and you had 20 to 50 of them, and the guy next door had a different 20 to 50 of them, and isn't that crazy? And it's like, yeah, that, man. And then over time, games get more complicated to make, the risk gets higher, people's time becomes more precious because there's more distractions, so they're taking less risks and choosing what to play. And so it's like all these factors are pushing us towards a world where there are fewer options. And yet gaming has always changed. That's the thing about video games, is it is a volatile place where the thing that worked yesterday will not necessarily work tomorrow. And so I do kind of think that we're probably not at the end of gaming, right? Here it is. We went through all of these ups and downs to get to a point where there are a handful of live service games.
Oh, no, and for the record, I'm absolutely not saying that.
Right.
I think I'm just exasperated by the fact that all of the oxygen is always taken up by these big games, and it feels like, and because we're in a place, and this is fantastic, where tools to make games are so much more readily available to everyone, it is this constant bombardment of new games, stuff that keeps getting, it doesn't get the chance to thrive that maybe deserves it. And that's because in terms of press, there's not that many of us left, and so yeah, it's just weird. And maybe it's just because I've been doing this for so long, I'm just like, oh, I physically don't have it in me to talk about Fortnite anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and that's I was like more trying to just convince myself that we're not at the end here, because it's like when I look at all the factors, when I look at all the evidence before me, it's like, oh man, mobile gaming, it happened quick. Like they were just like, it's Candy Crush Saga and it's a handful of other things, but they are just the same games at the top, always, forever, and nothing's ever going to change there. Yeah, and it's and so when I'm like, oh, is that going to happen with the games that I'm accustomed to? And it feels like that's what's happening. And I'm like, but it's not necessarily, just because that innovation always seems to pop up and surprise someone. And the next biggest thing in the world comes out of nowhere and takes over. Then suddenly everyone's like, well, now we're chasing that. And I just think right now we're at a bad point where the industry's hung over from some really high years, and huge console sales after the start of the new generation, where everyone was like rushing out to get those things, and a lot of money was just happening almost out of happenstance. It was like you were just making a ton of money because you were video games, and they didn't have to innovate all that much, and so that those muscles sort of atrophied a little bit, I think, from a lot of these big companies. And now that they're in a world where it's like, to compete, you're gonna have to stand out again, or just play it safe. They're like, well, we're going to play it safe because we're afraid to take any risks, and it's expensive. So yeah, we'll see. It's also
like exhausting just to be a fan of games now, I feel.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because like every single time we saw it with that Marvel NetEase game, where it was like the thing that they linked to in the tweet where they had their trailer was a Discord. And I was like, I don't have to join a Discord just to be excited about a game. Like I don't need to have constant, I don't know. It just kind of feels weird. Like
I don't need a personal relationship with every game. Yeah.
Yeah. I just sometimes want to drop in, like, open up Steam. Like, hey, that looks cool. I'll try it.
Yep. I mean, I think the good news maybe for us here is that we are getting to the point, as you mentioned, the democratization of tools, where we are going to enter an era where indie games are a lot of smaller teams making games that look kind of like PS2, GameCube, and Xbox games, where they're going to be 10 to 12 hours long, single player adventures that look as good as those games did, but probably like HD and better in a lot of ways. And it's like, man, that the big companies aren't going to make those anymore. I am glad we're entering an era where I think it's going to be easier than ever for these teams to do that kind of thing. And so they'll exist. They just won't be the biggest thing in the world like they once were. I will accept that trade-off. Last couple things here from the Phil Spencer interview. He mentioned that he wants to allow the Epic Game Store and maybe other stores onto the Xbox console. Hey, cool. I would like that. That's a great idea. I think Steam would be fantastic on there. I don't know if that's what he's talking about. I know they have a pretty good relationship with Epic, though, so I think that's why he started with Epic. This feels like a conversation that he's probably been having with good old Tim Sweeney for quite some time coming to fruition here. So, yeah.
Do you think they text?
Oh, yes, definitely. Tim Sweeney's definitely a texter.
What do you think of group chat with Phil and Tim Sweeney?
I think it is Tim bitching and moaning about Tim Apple. And Phil got to be like, yeah, man, I know, I get it, yeah, dude, yeah, you're definitely right. I understand how you feel, and he's got to like humor him constantly. I think that's what that is.
You imagine Gabe is in the group chat but silent.
Yeah, never right.
Every message read, never replies.
Yes, 100%. Oh my God, you nailed it. And then let's see, PS5 players will soon be able to show others how to beat games. There's those features of like, here's like a guide of how to do this thing, and developers, I think, were supposed to make those videos themselves, and you would get it in the PS5 UX. And now what's going to happen is
a special company that does that,
right?
Like, so you can outsource it, yeah.
Right. So, but what they're going to do now is PlayStation is going to have like, it's always recording your stuff, and if you opt in, it'll record how you beat something, and they'll be like, hey, we might use this as an example that other people can get to through the PlayStation 5 UX. Would that be okay? And they're going to start just showing you other people's gameplay so you can beat stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's a clever use of all this, video recording and AI stuff, where it's like, where it is. You could sort of just have a machine fill in the blank of like, here's that section of the game. Here's someone having trouble with that section of the game. Press a button. We can show you that recording because we have 50 examples of it. And here's the one that people thumbs up the most. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
I'm turning that off.
Yeah, I mean, I would not use it either. Yes, I would not use it either.
Support your local guides, writers, everyone. They do incredible work.
They do a ton of work. Some of the hardest working people out there. Finally, Game Informer is now offering a standalone subscription. I think before you always had to go into like a GameStop and get the Power Up Rewards membership, and that's how you did it. Now you could just go get a year's worth of issues, which I think is 10 issues for $20. It's like, man, that is pretty cool. And then you get 2 years for $35. I subscribed right away.
Yeah, me too.
Very excited about that.
But it's also like they did say, because it's just in the US for now, right. Which is kind of a shame. But I think that is awesome. And I love the team over there. So
making it happen in the U.S. is the hard one. Because the U.S. is such a sprawling country that it's really hard to make a magazine make sense as opposed to like the U.K., where it's like there's still a lot of periodicals in the U.K., is my understanding. And they have mostly died in the United States because actually getting these things out to people is cost prohibitive. So the fact they're able to make this make sense, largely probably because they already have the infrastructure there from doing it for so long, I'm glad they're able to take advantage of this. And for people wondering, the money from this subscription isn't going to GameStop. It's going to Game Informer to fund the magazine. So they're going to be able to do more with this stuff. And I think that's great. So shout outs to Game Informer for making that happen.
Did Overwatch just announce a new hero?
I don't know. You tell me.
It's in the chat from Don Cabeza.
All right.
Venture?
Thank you, Jesse. Venture is here, and they're burrowing their way to the battlefield. Meet our newest damage hero. Let me see if I can bring this over here.
Battlefield?
Making their way to the battlefield, not to battlefield.
Oh, she's been announced.
Okay.
I thought you said to the paddlefield. I was like,
who knows? My mouth doesn't work.
This is the gameplay deep dive. God, I am so out of Overwatch right now, man.
How does Venture look to you, though? Exciting?
Seismic charge, tectonic shock. Yeah, I mean,
she's a drill.
drill dash. Okay, burrowing. That's cool. This is like walking into a bar and seeing an X.
Yes, with someone new. Okay. So yeah, she can burrow underground. So it's Splatoon. That's cool. Yeah, all right. Cool. Well, there you go. Ventures in Overwatch. Starting limited time trial March 28th through the 31st. So try it out for yourself.
This weekend.
I suppose. All right. Let's get to the poll question. I got that right here. Actually, you know, while I get that set up, Lucy, why don't you tell people where they can find you, what you have going on, and all that good stuff.
Hello. Apparently you can find me losing my voice. So this week, Tam and I, so Friends Per Second podcast, we have impressions on Judas, and also actually I think it's closer to an hour and 45-minute interview with Ken. It's over on the Skill Up YouTube channel. Tam and I also did a conversation about Judas. That's up on GameSpot. But it's obviously all the information is from the FPS stuff. New episode of Jeff's Bizarre Adventure coming out tomorrow. 2 of our favorite episodes ever. One of them is a bottle episode about an Italian restaurant, and it was such a good time.
That sounds like a good time. Yeah,
it's really good. And then the rest of this week, I am recording some pilot stuff at GameSpot. Then I'm getting a massage on Friday, guys, because my back is wrecked. So I will be.
What do you do for your back strength when you work out? Did you like? Because I've been doing a lot of kettlebell swings, and this is probably the best my back has felt this year in my entire life. I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Jeff, can I just say?
Yeah.
It is so sweet that you think I work out.
Well, of course you do. Come on, look.
Sometimes I take a sprightly walk to the bus when I'm running late.
Oh, wow. Okay, man. Listen, let's not work that hard. Jesus.
No, it's bad. I have definitely noticed recently, just because everything has been there have been so many releases, and I've had to do so much #gaming that my back, everything feels like weak.
Yeah.
And I feel I'm in pain right now. I'm in pain. So I need to start doing some yoga, Pilates, some weights to kind of build that back up.
I understand. All right, we have the poll question. Let's get to it. Are you okay that Larian Studios' next game isn't going to be Baldur's Gate? For no, we had 4% of respondents, all of whom work at Wizards of the Coast, I'm assuming. And then 96% said yes. It's not too surprising, but this is, I mean, we talk about why they're doing this, where they said, hey, it's not about Wizards of the Coast. And like, I'm sure they're happy not to work with Wizards of the Coast anymore. But the real reason, obviously, is this. People trust Larian Studios. Why wouldn't you bet on yourself at this point? So, of course, they're going to. I think this is very exciting.
I think it's cool.
I think it's cool. All right. Yes, I just think they're neat. New poll question. Which one are you more excited for? Judas from Ken Levine or BioShock 4, which is apparently still happening. So. Oh
yeah, didn't 2K post like a cooking little chef?
Yeah, they reminded people it's happening. Yes, basically. So BioShock 4 is still happening. You can also vote neither. That's an option as well. We will talk about that on Game Mess Mornings on Giant Bomb tomorrow. Which, Jan, I think I'm going to have someone actually from Game Informer on the show tomorrow because we figured I'd get him on here to talk about the subscription or something. So you can have the day off if you want, buddy. I think that's going to happen. I'll let you know. But yes, we'll have that tomorrow on Game Mess Mornings. So that's happening at the normal time. Later today on Giant Bomb, speaking of, we will have Blight Club at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you're used to it starting at 2:30, it's now starting a half an hour later at 3. So tune in for that. As Lucy mentioned, there's a new Jeff's. We will have Voicemail Dump Truck this week. We will have UPF. I'm probably going to play a bunch of games on there. And then I'm like either this afternoon or tomorrow afternoon, I might try to find some time for some Dragon's Dogma 2 on the website. So look out for that. All right, Lucy, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'd love doing this show. This is the only thing that would get me up at 7:30 in the morning.
Well,
which is the most privileged thing I could say.
It does mean a lot, though. Thank you all for watching. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.